All right, buckle up, everyone, because we are diving headfirst into one of football's biggest rivalries.
I'm talking, of course, about El Clásico.
Real Madrid versus Barcelona. And get this,
It's the Spanish Super Cup final.
Sunday, January 12th, 2025. Mark your calendars.
At the King Abdullah Sports City in Jeddah.
Saudi Arabia.
That's right.
Super Cup, outside of Spain. Kind of interesting, don't you think?
Definitely adds another layer to it. But let's be real. The main event here.
It's the rematch.
Real Madrid wants revenge. I mean, who can forget that 4-0 beatdown Barcelona gave them back in October?
Ouch. Yeah, that had to hurt. So, to guide our deep dive today, we've got a whole stack of sources.
Sports news, betting previews, the works. Each one with a different angle on the game.
Lots to unpack. But before we get all Nostradamus on you guys, let's rewind to those semifinal matches. Barcelona looked pretty smooth sailing into the final, right?
Oh yeah, they dominated Athletic Bilbao. Final score 2-0.
Goals from?
Gavi and the young phenom, Lamine Yamal.
Yamal. Hold up, he's only 15, right?
15 years old. Can you believe it? Scoring in a Super Cup semifinal at that age.
That's insane. Kid's a future superstar, no doubt.
Definitely one to keep an eye on. The future of Barcelona, maybe even Spain, rests on his shoulders.
No pressure, kid. Okay, so Barcelona cruised through. What about Real Madrid? Did they have it easy against Mallorca?
Not quite a walk in the park.
Oh, tell me more.
They had to grind it out. Some late-game heroics to secure a 3-0 win.
A bit of drama, huh? All right, so both teams are hungry, that's for sure. But their paths here have been pretty different. Real Madrid, top of La Liga right now, unbeaten in their last 5 matches. They're looking unstoppable.
They're the team to beat, that's for sure. And that's what makes this matchup so exciting. Because Barcelona, as talented as they are, have been a bit all over the place this season.
Inconsistent, you're saying?
Yeah. Sitting third in La Liga right now, 5 points behind Real Madrid.
So those 2 semifinal wins were a good sign, but they still have a lot to prove.
Especially against their arch rivals in a final like this. A Super Cup win's one thing, but toppling Real Madrid after that 4-0 drubbing, now that would be a statement, could shift the whole momentum of La Liga.
Massive implications. But, let's take a step back for a second and look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
I mean, these 2 teams, they've got history.
Oh yeah, we're talking centuries of rivalry here. And what's crazy is how incredibly close their head-to-head record is.
Really? Spill the tea.
Out of 258 matches, Real Madrid has a slight lead. 105 wins to Barcelona's 101. The rest, draws.
Wow, neck and neck. But I've heard whispers that Barcelona has been ruling the recent Clásicos. Is that true?
Totally true. They won the last 2 encounters, including that 4-0 demolition we talked about. Adds fuel to the fire for Real Madrid, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So let's talk about the players who could light up this final. For Real Madrid, I'm curious about Mbappe. He's been kind of quiet this season at Real, but we know he's a beast.
Mbappe's a wild card, that's for sure. Even without the flashy stats, you can't deny his talent.
True. A match like this, the pressure's on, could be his moment to shine.
Definitely. High stakes often bring out the best in players like him.
Couldn't agree more. And for Barcelona, you gotta look at Rafinha. The guy's been on fire this season. 17 goals, 10 assists. Ridiculous.
He's been incredible. And what's even more impressive is his versatility.
Yeah.
He's not just about scoring goals.
Right. He can play all across the front line.
Exactly. Barcelona can use him in so many ways. Real Madrid's defense is going to have their hands full trying to contain him.
For sure. Okay, so we've got Mbappe and Rafinha as potential game changers. Anyone else we should be watching? Any dark horses who could shake things up?
Oh, absolutely. For Real Madrid, you can't forget about Jude Bellingham. His debut season has been phenomenal.
Bellingham's been a revelation.
Running the midfield, creating chances. He could definitely swing the match in Real Madrid's favor.
Agreed. And on the Barcelona side?
Gotta mention Lewandowski. The man's a goal-scoring machine. Plus, remember, he scored 2 goals in that 4-0 Clasico win.
Right. Lewandowski's always a threat. Okay, so we've talked form, history, star players. But before we go full-on prediction mode, let's address the elephant in the room.
The injuries.
Yeah, some key players are banged up.
He could definitely shake things up.
Time to put on our detective hats and see what these injury reports tell us. What do you think?
Well, Real Madrid's defense has taken a hit. Dani Carvajal and Eder Militao are both out with knee injuries.
Oof, that's rough. 2 starting defenders down. Anyone else on the injury list?
Aurelien Tchouameni got a head injury in the semifinal.
So his availability is up in the air.
Exactly. Creates a potential hole in their midfield that Ancelotti will have to figure out.
All right, so Real Madrid with some defensive and maybe midfield woes. What about Barcelona? Any injury concerns on their end?
Well, the big one is Marc-Andre ter Stegen, their goalkeeper,
What happened?
out with a knee injury.
Oh, okay. Anyone else?
Andres Christensen, he's sidelined with an Achilles injury.
So Barcelona's got their own defensive challenges to deal with?
They do. But there's a silver lining for Barcelona fans.
Oh, good news.
Dani Olmo. He's back from suspension and could play in the final.
Okay, the return of Olmo's a big boost for Barcelona.
Definitely gives them more options in attack.
All right, so both managers have some tough decisions to make with all these injuries and returns. Any guesses on how the lineups might look?
Well, with Carvajal and Militao out, I'm thinking Real Madrid might go with Lucas Vazquez and Nacho Fernandez as fullbacks.
Makes sense. Plug those gaps in the back line.
Exactly. And to cover for Tchouaméni's potential absence, Ancelotti might opt for a more conservative midfield.
Interesting. So you're saying a potentially more defensive Real Madrid.
It's a possibility. Barcelona, I think Flick might stick with his usual 4-2-3-1. Dembele and Rafinha flanking Lewandowski up top.
Sounds about right. But the big question is, where does Olmo fit in?
That's the million-dollar question. He could start on the left wing or come off the bench as a super sub.
Lots of tactical intrigue on both sides. I'm really excited to see how these lineups play out on the pitch.
Me too. It's like a game of chess. Both teams will be adapting their strategies based on who's available.
Speaking of strategy, I think it's time for the part everyone's been waiting for. Prediction time. But before we get all serious, let's have some fun. If you could pick one crazy what-if scenario for this match, what would it be?
Ooh, a what if. All right, let's see. What if both Mbappe and Lewandowski score hat tricks?
Whoa!
Can you imagine? It's probably not going to happen, but the excitement, the pandemonium.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it. All right, back to reality. What are our sources saying about the likely outcome of this clash? What are the experts predicting?
Well, it's all over the map, really. One source is calling a comfortable 3-1 win for Real Madrid, emphasizing their strong form and that hunger for revenge.
Makes sense. They're top of the league for a reason, and that 4-0 loss has got to be motivating them. Any other predictions out there?
Another source is leaning toward Barcelona. They're predicting a narrow 2-1 victory, pointing to Barcelona's recent Clásico wins and the return of Olmo as key factors.
Okay, so two completely different outcomes, both with solid reasoning. This is shaping up to be a nail-biter. All right, what about the betting odds? Are they leaning towards one team or the other?
Interestingly, the betting odds actually favor Real Madrid, but it's close. Most bookmakers have them as slight favorites, with odds around 11-10 for a Real Madrid win.
And Barcelona?
Their odds are a bit higher, around 56.
So even though Barcelona has had the upper hand in recent Clásicos, the bookies are leaning towards Real Madrid.
Yep. It seems their current form and that revenge factor are swaying the odds in their favor.
Interesting. All right, folks, we've got a clash of titans brewing, a battle for supremacy. This match could seriously shake up La Liga, and it's all going down this Sunday.
Can't wait. It's going to be epic.
Before we move on, though, we want to hear from you, our listeners. What are you most excited to see in this El Clásico final? Will Real Madrid get their revenge? Or will Barcelona continue their winning streak?
Head over to our social media and let us know your predictions using hashtag El Clásico Deep Dive.
We love hearing your thoughts.
All right, that wraps up part 1 of our deep dive into this massive Spanish Super Cup final.
We've covered a lot, from team form and head-to-head history to potential lineups and key players, but we're just getting started.
In part 2, we'll go even deeper. We'll break down the tactical side of things, potential formations, key matchups, all that good stuff.
Plus, we'll analyze those predictions and betting odds in more detail so you can be the most informed fan out there heading into this thrilling match.
So stay tuned. We'll be back with more insights and analysis soon. All right, welcome back to our El Clásico Deep Dive. We've talked about team form, head-to-head records, and, of course, those injuries shaking things up.
Yeah, those injuries could definitely change things up. But now, let's get tactical, shall we? This is where the rivalry gets really interesting. It's like a chess match every time these two teams face off.
Absolutely. Tactics can make or break a game, especially in El Clásico.
Real Madrid, under Ancelotti, they've been rocking that 4-3-3 formation for most of the season, right?
Right. It gives them a good balance, solid in attack and defense.
But I'm thinking with Carvajal and Militao out, could their defense be a little shaky?
It's a real concern. Those are two key defenders missing.
Do you think that might force Ancelotti to change things up? Maybe play a little more cautiously?
He might have to. They might not be able to press as high as they usually do.
Makes sense. Can adapt, right?
Exactly. He could focus on keeping things tight at the back, compact defensive shape.
And then hit Barcelona on the counter.
Exactly. Utilize that speed they have up front. Vinicius Jr., Mbappe.
Classic Ancelotti. Absorb the pressure and then bam, hit them with speed and precision.
Okay, so maybe a slightly more cautious Real Madrid. What about Barcelona? How do you see them approaching this tactically?
Well, Barcelona under Flick, they love that possession-based style. Control the ball, dictate the tempo.
Tiki-taka, baby.
That's right. They usually go with a 4-2-3-1, lets them dominate the midfield.
And create tons of scoring chances. But they've also had some defensive issues this season, haven't they? They have. Some shaky moments at the back.
Think that might influence Flick's tactical decisions for this final.
I think it has to. He needs to find that balance. Tighten things up defensively without sacrificing their attacking flair.
So they'll probably try to control the game, build up patiently from the back.
And then unleash those creative players in the final third. Pedri, Gavi, Rafinha.
Sounds like we could have a real clash of styles here.
Oh, absolutely. Real Madrid potentially sitting back waiting to counter. And Barcelona trying to dominate possession, set the pace.
A battle of philosophies.
Exactly. But keep in mind, both these teams are adaptable. They can change things up on the fly.
Yeah, they'll be constantly reacting to each other, adjusting their game plan as they go.
Yeah.
It's like a chess match where the pieces are always moving.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Okay, let's talk about some specific player matchups, the ones that could really decide this game.
The head-to-heads. I'm already excited. For me, that midfield battle, Bellingham versus Pedri, is going to be amazing.
Oh, yeah. Two young stars, both with incredible talent. It's going to be a masterclass in midfield play.
Bellingham, he's been dictating the tempo for Real Madrid all season, creating chances left and right. And Pedri, well, he's already a midfield maestro for Barcelona.
Whoever wins that battle could control the entire flow of the game.
It's going to be epic. And what about on the wings? Vinicius Jr. up against Ronald Araujo? That's got fireworks written all over it.
That's another good one. Vinicius with his speed and dribbling skills. Araujo, a strong, tough defender who loves a challenge.
If Araujo can shut down Vinicius, it would be a huge blow to Real Madrid's attack.
But if Vinicius gets past him, could cause chaos for Barcelona's defense.
Speed versus strength is going to be a highlight reel waiting to happen. And of course, we can't forget the battle of the Titans up front, Mbappe versus Lewandowski, two of the best goal scorers in the world going head-to-head.
That's the dream matchup right there. Both can score from anywhere. Mbappe with his pace, agility, clinical finishing. Lewandowski, incredible positioning, always seems to be in the right place at the right time.
It's tough to say who will come out on top there. I think it might come down to which one gets better service from their teammates.
Could be. That midfield battle we talked about, that could determine who gets more chances in front of goal.
But then again, you never know with these two. They can create something out of nothing.
Absolutely. And don't forget the impact of the substitutes.
Oh yeah, the benches are stacked.
They got Rodrigo for Real Madrid, Ansu Fati, and Ferran Torres for Barcelona.
They could come in and change the whole game.
They absolutely could. I mean, the depth on both sides is incredible. This El Clásico is packed with world-class talent.
Okay, so we've talked tactics, key matchups, potential game changers. Now that we've gone a little deeper, do you think our analysis changes those predictions and betting odds at all?
Honestly. It just shows how unpredictable this match really is. Both teams have their strengths. Both have weaknesses. Who wins the tactical battle? Well, that depends on who can exploit those weaknesses and capitalize on their strengths.
It's going to be a real chess match out there.
El Clásico always is. But if you had to put your money on one team, who would you go with?
You're putting me on the spot.
I know. Tough question. But hey, that's what makes it so exciting.
Okay. Final bite. If I had to choose, I think I'd lean towards Real Madrid. Slightly. They're the informed team. They're hungry for revenge, and the bookies give them a slight edge. But I wouldn't count Barcelona out. Not for a second. This is El Clásico. Anything can happen. Form, predictions, they can all go out the window.
That's the beauty of this rivalry. It's always unpredictable.
All right, listeners, we want to hear from you. What tactical battles are you most interested in seeing? Real Madrid's counterattacks, Barcelona's possession game. Let us know. Hit us up on social media using the hashtag El Clásico Deep Dive.
We're dying to hear your thoughts and predictions.
All right, that wraps up part 2 of our deep dive. We really got into the tactical side of this epic matchup.
But we're not done yet.
In part 3, we'll take a step back. Look at the bigger picture. The history of El Clásico, the cultural significance, the global impact. We'll also talk about the mental game.
The pressure, the expectations, all those emotions that come with playing in a match like this.
So stick around. We'll be back soon with the final part of our deep dive.
And we're back. Welcome to the final part of our El Clasico deep dive.
We've talked tactics, we've looked at the players, but now it's time to zoom out, see the bigger picture.
Because this rivalry, it's bigger than just a game, right?
Way bigger. We're talking history, passion, cultural identity.
Two iconic cities, Madrid, Barcelona, each with its own distinct character.
Its own pride. You know, Real Madrid, they've often been associated with power.
Well,
A more direct style of play, even forceful sometimes. Barcelona, on the other hand,
Catalan pride.
artistry. That famous possession-based style.
It's almost like these teams represent two different philosophies, not just in football, but in life. I think you're right. And that's what makes this rivalry so fascinating, so intense. It's captured fans for generations. And it's not just a Spanish thing anymore, is it?
Not at all. El Clásico is global. Millions of fans tuning in from all corners of the world.
It really is. The star power, the drama, the quality of football, it transcends borders.
I've got friends in Argentina, Japan. They're obsessed with El Clásico.
And you know why? Because every match, it matters. It has the power to shift the entire momentum of Spanish football.
Bragging rights.
Oh, yeah. Imagine being a fan in Madrid or Barcelona after your team wins El Clasico. Must be an amazing feeling.
Pure ecstasy. But you know, let's not forget the other side of that coin.
The pressure.
The weight of expectations, the fear of losing.
It's a lot to carry, even for the best players in the world.
Especially in a final like this, trophy on the line, the whole world watching.
The mental game is just as important as the physical one. Maybe even more so.
So true. So as we get closer to kickoff, let's talk about the mental state of each team. Real Madrid, they're the favorites. They're in top form, and you know they want revenge for that 4-0 loss.
There's definitely a lot of confidence in their camp, but there's also that edge, that need to prove themselves.
And Barcelona. They might be the underdogs, but they've got that history of stepping up in big games. Plus, they've dominated the recent Clásicos.
They'll be looking to make a statement, show everyone they're still a force to be reckoned with.
It's going to be fascinating to see how both teams handle the pressure, the emotions, the intensity of this final.
Absolutely. We've analyzed the tactics, the history, the cultural significance. We've even touched on the psychological side of things.
Now, all that's left is to watch the game unfold.
To see what stories emerge.
Any last-minute predictions?
Just one.
Yeah.
Expect the unexpected. El Clasico is full of surprises. Moments of brilliance you could never predict.
It always delivers. So, to everyone listening, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This is El Clásico.
One of the greatest rivalries in sports history. And no matter who wins, the legacy of El Clasico will live on.
Beautifully said. Thanks for joining us for this epic El Clásico deep dive. We'll see you next time, and until then, may your passion for the beautiful game never fade.